Hey, this is Dr. Robert Migley. We have our hands-on implant course coming up in a couple of weeks, and I just wanted to review the hands-on case that we will be treating together. So, this young lady came to see us with a long existing partial, which just has been breaking, and she really was just like something fixed. So these are some intro photos with her denture in. Again, it's functional. We see there's been some supereruption of the lower mandibular teeth to kind of get into occlusion. So we're going to bring this occlusion back down a little bit, and we'll then calibrate the lower teeth as well. But we want to get these 6 teeth fixed rather than removable. This is her smile without, and you can see the prominence of those supererupted teeth. But fortunately, it looks like she has some good bone and great tissue. So this is a fantastic early case to start with. And we'll look at some more detailed images on the CT scan. And we also take an intraoral scan. This is her without the teeth. And we also scanned her with the teeth. And we're going to all overlay that onto the CT scan so we can properly diagnose this with minimal additional effort. So it's simply a matter of dragging and dropping the file. And this is taken with the iMedit 700. This will overlay really well. I did no movement here. This just overlaid itself very nicely right on top of the teeth. We're just checking the outline of the teeth here to make sure that we have an accurate merge, which we do. And now we can turn on the scan with the denture in, so we have a prosthetic plan already set up for us. All right, so let's take a look at the bone. And we've got some condensing osteitis here, but otherwise really nice solid bone. And we're going to add a molar back here as well, which again, nice, really nice wide bone. So we will now start putting some implants in. We're going to be using some Biomax implants. And there's 2 schools of thought of how to kind of set these up. Both will work. Some people do measurements first and then choose implant types. I like to throw implant types in here first. And then based on that, we'll decide positioning and change size and angulation as needed. So what we can do here is play with the transparencies. So we could see the teeth, but we could still see the implants underneath. This just allows for a bit of a smoother transition here. So we're safely away from our tooth. We want to be 1.5 millimeters away at least. So you're just about right there. Let's actually bring that a drop further away. In reality, this cuspid is going to be brought in on our final restoration. So I'm actually going to move that a drop straighter and a little bit closer, because again, that cuspid will in reality be a little closer to that premolar. Okay, that looks like a good first tooth setup. And okay, so we're going to make a 6-unit bridge here. So generally, if you're missing 6 teeth, the best positions are the 2 cuspids, give you terminal implant anchorage, so we're not working with any cantilevers. And then I generally like to put in the centrals if there's room. If there's not, we can use the lateral spaces, but generally spacing is best, putting those implants in 8 and 9. And we have pretty good bone there as well. If I just move to a 3.5 implant for these, I'm going to increase the length to compensate for the lack of diameter. And ideally we want to be exiting out of the cingulum of these centrals. And it looks pretty good.
Not in your way.
And we will just duplicate that over, move that into number 9. And we're in the good location as well. Excellent. And we just need that number 11 tooth. And again, same scenario here. The cuspid are going to bring back over towards the premolar a little bit. So we'll straighten that up. I'd like to make this cuspid a little more parallel with those centrals if possible, just to give a nice smooth path to draw. And we're going to decide if we're going to do straight to tie bases or we're going to do multi-unit abutments. My feeling of wanting to do multi-unit abutments here is if these remaining teeth get lost at some point in life, we already have them lined up with multi-units. It's just a matter of adding in a couple more implants, and on the implant level, we're already set. We're going to add in a molar as well. We've got great width and great height. Plenty of room. And let's just bring that in a drop. And off we go. We have all set up. So I could add on multi-unit abutments onto the front, but the multi-unit we cannot add on for the number 14 tooth because a multi-unit would need at least 2 units, otherwise it has no anti-rotational effect. So we're going to put a standard screw retained crown for 14, but the anteriors I think we're going to use some multi-unit abutments. And we'll just take a look at what that will look like. So we do 1.5s and 3s. Yeah, if our angulation needed it, we could pull this into a 17 to bring that back in more. But I think we'll be okay with straights here. And there we go. Fantastic. Now it's just a matter of adding a surgical guide. So in order to do that, it's really a couple of quick steps. We're going to tell we're doing the fully guided surgical kit with BlueSkyBio. We're then going to turn off the teeth that we've been treatment planning with. We can turn back up the transparency here. And a couple of things. So we've got our two, we're looking out for here is the implants next to each other. You don't want these rings intersecting with each other. If they are, you see it's close here. If they would intersect, we'd have to either create two guides or separate them out slightly. But in this case, we're fine. The papilla is going to be slightly in our way here. We have two options here. We can either raise those guide tubes or just allow it to be there and just know when it prints, we're going to have most of the guide tube there, but that will be a little area sticking out where that papilla is sticking out, which I will actually leave that alone. But these posteriors are under some tissue here, so we're going to raise these up. So the way we do that is we go into the implant list. We have the implant selected that we want to move. We go into the offsets, and this is a 10 millimeter implant. So I'm going to want to offset this by 1.5 because my next drill is the 11.5 drill. So we're going to go to a 9.5 here. And that raises my tube up enough over the tissue here that it's now out of my way. And again, all I need is the inner diameter of this implant sleeve to be able to be above the tissue. The outer diameter is not going to be of a concern. We're going to do the same thing here. We're slightly under the tissue here, not really by much. We could leave this one alone, but I'm going to raise it up the same way to a 9.5. Great. Excellent, okay. Now we will just simply draw our outline. Okay, once we have those two areas joined, it is closed. We can move these nodes around wherever we so choose. If you want to move more than a little bit, just shift and it'll move them, draw a new line. Draw that a little straighter. Draw out more room. And we are all set. Create surgical guide. Okay, and we are all set. Normally I would cut a couple of windows into some of these teeth just to make sure that we can see that it's going to be fully seated, but I decided again to stop halfway around this tooth, so we'll see that right away. We'll see this tooth and we'll see both other teeth Underneath, the only tooth that we don't see is the center tooth here, the premolar, but that's really no concern. If this is seated, we will know. Another little trick I'll sometimes do is put the implant sizes with any potential offset directly on the guide. Let's put that in 2 lines. That way when this prints, we already have the implant details right there. The exact same thing on the other side. Ones in the front did not have any offsets. They were 3.5s by 13s. And I could put that twice, but I'm going to put it once in the middle. I know those are both the same. And the last one's a 4.3 by 10. Fantastic. So we are all set with reminders on our guide built in. The only other point I will mention is if you see here, the bone is not particularly dense. So we're going to underprepare our osteotomy somewhat, but a good replacement implant for a site like this is actually the Forte implant. We could put, let's say, a 5.0 thread design, which means the body is still going to be a 4.3. Now those threads are going to be a little more aggressive. We can even move up to a 6.0 or even a 7.0 on those threads, but you see the body stays the same. So I think we'll move into a 5.0 by 10. Those threads will just grab on a little better. If I move into the 6.0, I can no longer place the implant fully guided. So I can do the osteotomy, but then I'll have to take it off because the sleeve only allows for a 5.0 to enter. But everything else now stays the same. I've got a little more density there. Okay, and that is our plan. We'll get these printed. And this is part of the hands-on portion of our course. This will be done by the course attendees. As long as they're licensed in New York State, they will place these implants along with my assistants and gain experience doing guided surgery live and in person. We're looking forward to having you, and we'll see you soon.